Can I be honest? Investors are buying right now. You know why? Because those investors who got them bubbles a few years ago, low interest rate, 3 and 4%, all those balloons are about to pop. Like their rates are going from 2 to 4% to 8 to 10%. Investors are not going to be able to cash flow these assets. So there's a reason why all of these large management companies are buying these single family homes up. They know when the recession comes, what happens? People lose their job and they got to do what? Rent.
What to do right now on real estate? Like, I don't like, what's going on?
If I'll tell anybody anything, it's this. Number one,
it has to work or it has to work.
Welcome to Circle of Greatness podcast. I'm your host, Nehemiah Davis. And today, this is not her first time. It's not her second time, not her third time. This might be the fourth or the fifth time. But there's no one better that's going to keep you informed about real estate, showing you how to buy your first and next investment property, showing you how to scale your properties, showing you how to not have problems with properties than my sister, developer on the road to 10,000 doors, mother, entrepreneur, Renaissance woman. Harriet Tubman, how she carried it. No, they call it Harriet Tubman, the way she carried it. Terrica Lynn Smith, my sister. What's good?
What is up?
How you feeling?
I feel good. And I'm so honored that you allow me to come back on your podcast and just talk and, educate the folks. And so it's always good when we sit down and get into the nitty gritty. So 100%. Thank you.
Anytime. Happy to have you here. Absolutely. Your shirt says the cycle ends with me. What does that mean?
It. So, oh man, how do I break that down, right? So let's just say this. There's a lot of things that's passed on from one generation to the next to the next. A lot of people talk more about generational curses than they do generational blessings. So you don't hear people saying, I'm passing generational blessings, right? You hear people saying, I'm breaking generational curses. Well, the fact is, in order for you to break a generational curse, you got to know for a fact that the cycle ends with you. So in order for a generational curse to stop and to end, it has to run into someone who's willing to take it on head on. And so for me, the reason why the cycle ended for me was because I did not want my family to experience what I went through as a child. Like I didn't want, sexual abuse for my children. I didn't want my children being raised in foster care. I didn't want my children having drug-headed parents, crackheads, whatever you want to call it, as parents. And, on top of that, I wanted them to have more in life, like options, right? And as any good parent, they're like, I just want my children to have options, right? But what people don't realize is when you're in the middle of ending a cycle, it's very hard to dream on anything you can possibly do. So with my son that is now 21, he grew up with me. He is the product of being raised from a teenager by a teenage mom and trying to figure out life as we go. And so one of the things that I make sure that I instill within my children is a good foundation in God, because that was not passed on to me. I think that that's a generational blessing that is passed on. When you instill in your children the power of God, the word of God, the truth of God, an intimate relationship with God, that's something that I never had. So I look at the things that I never had and I say, you know what? Beyond me, my downline will not experience this. And so I felt like it was on me to end the cycle of poverty. It was on me to end the cycle of sexual abuse and bring awareness to it. It was on me to end the cycle of parents being strung out on drugs. It was on me to end the cycle. And some people be like, well, how you know it was on you? Because it bothers me. Like if you're going through something and it bothers you, then you have the power to do something about it. But if you choose not to do anything, then you pass on a generational curse. But if you choose to say, you know what, this looks like a Goliath in front of me. I believe I got 5 smooth stones that I'm going to be able to throw and tear this giant down. Then you look at that different. And so for me, there's nothing that I have went up against for my family that I have not ended by the grace of God. Nothing.
That's good. Let me ask you this though. You said something key. I want to say most parents say, I want to give my child a better lifestyle than I had.
Mm-hmm.
And from my experience of what I've seen, I often see the kids end up going down the same path that their parents went down. So I don't feel like it was a much better lifestyle. And I'll say this, I do believe my mom gave me a better lifestyle than my grandma probably gave her, because I went to a private school. I went skiing. Like, I did experience things that I've never experienced. But I also feel as though some of that is also on the child. You gotta be receptive and take it and do something. But a lot of parents say they want to do better, but I don't. It's maybe 1 in 10 of parents I actually see who say that, and you're in the struggle the same way your parents been in the struggle. So how do I become the one where I really am giving them a better life?
Right. You're not God. Right. First and foremost, I'm not God. But think about it. Adam and Eve had the perfect father. Do that make sense?
Yeah.
They messed up.
Right. Oh.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They used their free will to end up in a generational curse. They placed the curse on themselves. God wanted what was best for them. And in the Bible, it talks about how everything was perfect. But because of the mindset and because of the belief, the enemy is going to always come after the mindset and the belief. And your brain is like a muscle. If you do not exercise it, it can easily be accessed. So you can allow it to be an entrance, or you can allow it to be an exit. But either way, that information is going to come in, and you're going to have to decide what you're going to do with that. You know, I remember when my son was acting out, and he was wilding out. Everything that I said ended with me, he went back into our lineage and picked it back up. He picked it back up. And I said, my God.
Why do you think that happened?
Right. And so I don't know. At that moment, I did not know why, but I only had one move to make. I only had one move inside of me.
Great.
I was on my knees praying every single morning. And what I know about God is that he hears a mother's cry. He hears a mother's heart. And I'm not asking God to please protect him from being killed in all of his bad decisions. I'm asking God to return him home to him. And the only way to return home to him, usually people come broke down, broken up, busted up, and like, I need God at this point, right? My son in 1 year lost everything we have built for him. He lost his inheritance in 1 year. He told me
When you say lost it, I'm taking it back, or you went and spent it?
Oh no, I did not take it back, because an inheritance, right, is something that is passed on. So we passed on to him. He had his car where he put 50% down. We put 50%. That's the rule in our house. We're not just going to buy you no car. You're going to match it. So he had 50%. We had 50%. He paid his 50%. We transferred the title into his name. Car was paid off. But because he's under 25, his car insurance was $800. The rule in the house is, if you go to school or if you work in and you obey the rules inside the house, number one, we go to church on Sunday. Number two, we worship and pray. Number three, you cannot be out smoking, drinking, doing drugs. And number four, the doors close at 12 a.m. Those are the rules, right? It's very simple.
At what age, 12 a.m.? However long you under the roof?
18.
Okay.
Yeah, like
18, that's fine. But at 21, I'm saying.
Yes, it's the same thing.
Okay.
Our doors close at that time.
Got it.
So wherever you at that point in time, you just need to call and say, hey, my dad, I'm staying at my friend's house. I'll talk with you later. But that door at our house, it's not a revolving door like that. It closes, right? I have a younger son. We like to put the alarm on in our house. We like to make sure that our place is secure.
Yeah.
So in 1 year, he began having this resentment towards me. And I could not understand why he had so much anger. This is the first time I'm ever talking about this publicly. But I couldn't understand why he had so much anger towards me and his dad. And everything we told him, he thought it was us trying to control him, and also us just manipulating him and trying to destroy him. Now, mind you, his whole entire life, we have built him up, words of affirmation, the word of God, like all of that, right? And so I'm like, where is this person? Because my son was one who never disrespected me a day in his life until he turned 18 years old. And so what I realized was that he was hanging with my nephew. Now, my nephew has always had a heavy, dark spirit on him.
But the young boy I know?
No.
So that kid seemed nice.
No, his brother.
Okay.
Yes, his brother. To the
Your
point,
sister might come knocking on your door.
yeah, she loved me. She agreed.
Okay, all right, bet.
She agreed. We're in agreement, right? And so, he started hanging more with his younger cousin. Well, his younger cousin, he has kind of like this dark energy about him where his mind, he thinks about negative things. He do negative things. He don't really do like a lot of positive things. So him and Tyreek start hanging together. Well, guess what? Him and Tyreek started doing pills together. Well, now they doing pills that's laced with fentanyl and all this type of stuff. So
And one hit of that fent, you might be, it could be over with.
And it will cause Tyreek to go into a rage. Well, because Tyreek got bullied at school, when he got on them drugs, he felt like he wanted to go take revenge of those kids who bullied him. Now, this is something deeply rooted in him that he did not let go because, like I said, he's a grown man now, but now he want to go back and retaliate. So now we're hearing these war stories where they running up on these guys, they running up on those guys. I'm getting a phone call. Hey, Tyreek has just been arrested. I'm like, for what? They're like aggravated assault. And I'm like, what? And so they say, well, he's not the one who was holding the actual piece, but he was with them. And so all of this is taking place. This is all within 1 year of leaving our house. He's never been in trouble with jail, police. He's not, that's not who he is, right? So it's like, as a mother, the hardest thing, and you'll feel this eventually, is raising adults. Because you got to watch and pray and know that everything you place inside them children is real, okay? And that it's going to grow and it's going to prosper. So I continued praying, and then I went and I got 2 other friends and we wrote out this prayer for him. And while he was out there wilding out, I stood in proxy for him before God, asking for forgiveness, and giving thanksgiving, and, and just, doing everything we possibly can. And so eventually, right, him and the cousin get into it, and now they're mad at each other, and now he don't want nothing to do with him, and now he want to come back home. Now, as a mother, I want him to come back home. But you remember when I said I was on my knees praying and crying and I was spending all that time with God? God told me, do not accept him back home. Like in my prayer time, that's all I heard was he cannot come back home. As much as I wanted him, like, you got to understand, I love my children. I want them. Yeah, that's my heartbeat. So of course I want him with me. But I could not understand why God was saying I could not have him back home. And so from the moment of him trying to come back home, it was, son, we got to have a conversation because this is not going to work, right? You still out there in the world, you still got things that's on you. And on top of that, I placed you in God's custody. I stepped out of the way because there's nothing me or your dad could do anymore. So I had to place you in God's custody, and God has not released you back to me. He said, what does that mean? That mean I can't come back home? I said, son, that's exactly what that means. But what we're willing to do is help you find a place of your own to help you get on your feet. He said, Mom, I'm just so tired and I'm so burnt out. You know what he did with his car? His car that was completely paid off, that he worked hard for? He ended up going to a dealership, listening to his cousin, trading in this paid off car because he didn't like the $800 a month insurance. The car dealership sells him a car for about $60,000. I was so furious. And then the interest rate was 20%. Now.
So now you got a car note, 20%, and you still got to pay the $800.
Now it's more because it's a newer car. So
he didn't think about that part?
No, he did not. And so when I called him, he said, I knew you wasn't going to be happy for me. This is why I didn't want to tell you anything, because I knew you wasn't going to be happy for me. And I said, son, I am not going to come into agreement with your manipulation. I'm not going to come into agreement with your poverty mindset that you got to have this show off mentality, that you got to show all your friends you got the brand new scare pack and all of this. And I prayed, I said, God, remove this debt from his name. He knows not what he do. Remove the debt from his name, because my son would have been bankrupt by the time he was 22 years old with that car. And when I called the car salesman, because I have a great relationship in town with a lot of people, he said, Miss Terrica, I told this boy I would not even sell this car to my son. And he looked me in the face and said, well, I'm not your son. So that's free will, right? So he ended up buying this car. Guess what? 2 days time, he flipped the car upside down, 4 people inside the car. Car is completely totaled. So he not only now totaled that car, he already traded in his other car. I told him at this time he wanted to get a dog. I said, no, don't get no dog. He go get a dog. Well, guess what? Animals have rights. So Tyreek was not feeding the dog, taking care of the dog. So animal rights come and issue him a fine for the dog. And then they take the dog. So he's supposed to show up in court. He don't show up. They issue a warrant for his arrest because he did not take care of the dog. I told him these animals got a lot of rights. You don't want to get a dog. So long behold, fast forward now, we're at at a whole nother year. He's finding himself, but he's finding himself with God. Because for so long, me and his dad walked with him with God. But now he got to take his own walk with God. He got to be held accountable for his own decision. So the cycle did end with me. And I did pass on the generational blessings. But if your child turns that generational blessing away, then you have to allow them to deal with the curses that they're going into. It's just what it is. And so it's the same with I believe it was Joseph, where he took Esau, he took his blessing, right? And so it's like he gave up his birthright for a bowl of soup. He had to deal with the consequences of giving up that birthright, because that was a heavenly birthright that was given to him that he gave up for a bowl of soup. That's what he did. And so there's so many stories that align with how we live in today's life that really allows us to be able to walk through and really do what we say we're going to do. Now, I can look at my daughters and say, wow, they're doing it. Like my baby girl, her and her boyfriend is saving up to buy an investment property. They're walking with God together. They're learning God together. They're going to church. My oldest daughter, the exact same thing. My youngest son right now, he's following that walk. But at any point in time, when the enemy comes and try to whisper in their ear, that is when the free will take place. And it's not anything you did or anything I did. It's the decision that they have to make and stand on. So we can pull them out of generational curses.
Yeah.
But they can go back.
Dang. That's good to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'd be wondering, I think yours was, I did set them up for success, but it's up to you to carry that.
Yep.
Some parents are saying, I got it, and then I don't think they could set them up because they don't really know what success is.
That's right. And that's true. I didn't either, to be honest with you. When I first got started, I never thought I would have 1,000 investment properties. I never thought I'd have 1,000 people at the first of the month paying me rent. Like, that's not something I could just honestly say that I knew. I can't say that I knew I was going to have a relationship with God. I can't say that I would that I would know that I would be where I'm at today. That's not the truth. I can't say that I would be married 21 years. I can't say those things because I just did not know. Yeah. But what happens is, if you follow a blueprint that someone has already placed ahead of you, then it's a lot easier than trying to find your own path and create your own blueprint. And so I've always been a great studier. I read a lot. I love reading, and I like learning about new things. So one of the things, anything I have a problem with, a situation with, or circumstance with, I'm going to the Word of God, right? I'm going to get some self-help enrichment books. I'm going to go and invest the things in myself. I'm going to go get me a mentor. I'm going to get a coach. I'm going to get the people that has already already built the pathway for me to be able to walk. And it's the same with our kids. And I think one of the things we got to stop saying is we don't want our kids to go through what we went through. So we throw them these lavish birthday parties, we throw them these lavish prom events, all of these things, right? Because we want them to have the best. We want them to say that they, wow, right? And the truth of the matter is when you look back at that moment, you look back at that day, yeah, they probably would be able to say that, but it's not anything that's significant enough that's going to make them say, oh, I want to do this again, or I appreciate this, or anything like that, right? So I had to realize that I used to throw my kids' birthday parties that cost $5,000 to $10,000. Why was I doing that? Because I was trying to give everything back I missed out on to them. But E.T., shout out to E.T., the hip hop preacher, he said, Terrica, you need to stop saying you don't want your kids to go through what you went through. They can't go through what you went through because you're not a crackhead. When he said it to me like that, I said, dang, that make a lot of sense. He said, you're not about to go sell your kids. He said, so stop saying you don't want your kids to go through what you've been through because they already passed that. They're not going to go through that. And so it was such a revelation hearing that because I literally lived my life in trying to please my kids and what I created was entitlement that I had to break off of my kids.
Yeah. I ain't gonna lie, I'm kind of happy. I don't really do nothing special for my kids outside of their daily, like the parties. Well, I do give them parties, but it ain't lavish.
I do know you.
$1,000.
When you say you don't do nothing special, they eat vegan. Okay, that you right. You are right.
But I'm so happy that like my daughter, I talked to you about them like, yo, she's 19, car, like I could buy her a car and she's about to buy, I'm putting $5,000 to her car. But she gonna go buy her own car, Mercedes-Benz. But you're gonna appreciate it because you work for it.
That's right, a whole lot more.
Ain't nobody you can't say my dad gave me that, my mom, no, you did that. We just giving you a little lookout.
That's right.
You know what I mean? But yeah, it's just. Yeah.
Well, and there's nothing wrong with, people be like, I don't want no trust fund babies. Yes, I do. Words have power. Right? I want my kids to have a trust fund. Yeah. What are you talking about? I want my children to eat out of silver plates, gold plates, right? Would you be happy if I fed my kids out of paper plates? Like, what are you asking me to do? So I don't think there's anything wrong with us allowing our children to have the lifestyle that they have now. But like you said, we got to make sure that when we're doing this, they're a part of it so they can feel the actual responsibility of continuing going through with it. Like, that's what I had to realize. Like, even with my son with his car, like, yeah, we went 50-50, but technically speaking, he still felt like his parents helped him. Now he have no car. And guess what? He gets $0 from us. So he's
getting around.
He got his girlfriend. He's Ubering. He's doing everything he can. He calls his sister sometime. Yeah. Look, that's what it is. Yeah. But at the end of the day, I don't feel bad because I knew you was set up. Now, what you created, you got to walk this out. So when he get his next car, he going to appreciate that a whole lot more than he did that first Challenger he got.
Yeah, they going to learn.
Yeah. So.
Man, I knew you're supposed to talk about real estate. We just talked about family so far.
Yes. Yes.
People are like, yeah, wait, this say real estate? Yeah, we just be talking, y'all. But what I want y'all to do, if you're looking at this, go to the propertychallengelive.com. We're about to have one of the biggest real estate conferences. Over 1,000 people coming out here in Atlanta, Georgia. Going to be absolutely life-changing. Over 10 to 15 guest speakers, special surprise performances. It's just going to be an experience, like a 3-day weekend like none other. So go to the propertychallenge.com right now. So make sure you get a team. Right now, man, there is so much uncertainty in the market. You got Trump, you got interest rates, it's so much what to do right now in real estate. Like, what's going on? Tell me, what do you see is happening currently in the market? Are you still buying right now? Are you waiting? I know Grant for a while, he was just stacking money waiting to buy. Mm-hmm. So what are you doing right now?
Well, first, there's different type of buyers, right? So Grant Cardone is a Class A asset buyer, okay?
$200-300 million building type buyer.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so this is the thing, I mind my business. Okay. Once they finish, their pissing contests with each other and all the dust settled down, the markets right now just got 2 billion added to it, 200 billion or something insane like that, historic. I mind my business. I don't care what the interest rates are doing. I don't care what Trump and his tariffs are doing. I don't care what a stock market's at because it's a clock. This is a real estate clock. It always come back. It always circle back. So I'm not about to be impatient and start, offsetting things and selling things. This is the moment where I'm clocked in right now. Okay. I always purchase properties, and I'm going to purchase properties like this. And I'm going to always purchase properties like this is because I like the recession proof model. Okay. So the properties I purchase, the communities I develop where I put my children's name on street signs, those homes are less than $200,000. I'm not in the race, the cat race, the rat race with all of these other builders, developers, because nobody want to come down to my level. So while I'm in a lane by myself, I'm like Pac-Man. I'm eating every single dot that come around. I'm going all the way around. Like we're looking at 650 units right now. HAP contract. I'm talking $30 million.
Is that like the contract we got with those houses on that block?
Yes, okay. Absolutely. Yeah.
Guaranteed income.
Guaranteed income. I'm talking, and look, even some people, it's like, well, Trump is about to stop Section 8 and he's about to put a halt on, HUD financing and HUD funding and all of these different type of things. The truth of the matter is there's too many residents that are on the HUD program for them to put people out in 1 to 2 years. Realistically, you can't do that, right? Because they're going to...
The homeless population will go...
That's right. That's right. And so you're going to have what HUD calls an abatement. That means that if they do that to the landlords, all of their residents that they're asking us to house have to go somewhere else, and they can't afford to go nowhere else. This is people that's paying $8 a month in rent, $18 a month in rent. So they're not about to, where are they going to go for that? You see what I'm saying? So for me, until it knocks on my door, boom, 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 and say, I am here, your payments have stopped, I'm not worrying about that. Right now, I'm making almost $1 million a year off of one asset because of one right investment move, and I'm about to sink my teeth into a 650 unit deal. So my goal is to have $1 billion in assets under management with a debt to income ratio of less than 30%. So if me and my team...
You got $1 billion and 300 million is debt on it, you're saying?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. If me and my team is focused on, buying these Class C assets, which is my bread and butter, and everybody else turn their nose up at the Class C, they turn their nose up at $200,000 homes, right? But I'm about to build 200 of them. Everybody keep turning their nose up at it, but we're eating good over here. So you have not received the email to say, oh, you're not going to receive a dividend this month because of this HAP investment. Like, that's just not what it takes place, right? And so what I tell my team, what I tell my realtors is mind your business, okay? All that is for distractions on to keep you more worried than what you should be. They're trying to cripple you into place. Can I be honest? Investors are buying right now. You know why? Because those investors who got them bubbles a few years ago, meaning that low interest rate, 3 and 4% interest rates, all those balloons are about to pop. So when you start seeing that this market is changing and the balloons are popping and people are like their rates are going from 2 to 4% to 8 to 10%, investors are not going to be able to cash flow these assets. And these are very expensive assets where you cannot increase the debt on that property that much. It will have a negative cap rate. So, and cap rate don't include that, but still just saying once I have debt on it, then it's a negative cap rate, right? So I think that if I'll tell anybody anything, it's this. Number one, if you can do one, you can do 100. Number
Mean
two,
deals.
deals.
Yep,
Yes.
I like that.
Yep.
You could do one, you could do 100.
Yes, if you can do one, you can do 100. Number two, the same time it takes to make $1,000 off that one door, what took me 20 years to learn is it's the same exact amount of time to make $100,000. And it's the same with $1 million. And so when you start thinking in those increments, your time becomes more valuable on what you're going to spend it in. I remember.
That's why you buying the 650 unit building, because it's the same effort for you to buy a 65 unit building.
That's right. It's the same effort. And by the time I finish,
Got to go to the closing table. You got to underwrite the deal. You got to raise the cash.
Yep. You just add more doors at this point, right? You just add more doors. Yeah. You know, I tell realtors this all the time. What you put your sign in front of is who they say you are. So if you're a realtor and you got your sales sign in front of a $60,000 property, you're a $60,000 agent.
Yeah.
That's all you're going to get. That's your clientele.
Wow.
Because birds of a feather flock together. So one $60,000 person know another $60,000 person, and you're going to continue getting the same type of leads, right? That's the same with, my sister, shout out to Kiana. She's a multi-million-dollar luxury agent. It's a reason.
That's all she. And I'm sure they do some deals, those 200s, those 3, but you never go and know about them.
No, you're never going to know about them.
Man, her and the guy Trey, they did a great job positioning themselves as a luxury realtor.
Yes, I mean luxury. Okay.
I mean, you sell a $4 million home, or $1 million. It takes the same amount of
effort. That's right.
It almost might be easier.
It is, because you know what?
You're dealing with a different person.
That's right. It's not. You're right. 1,000% correct. Because a person with a mindset at $60,000 is way different than a person who's about to buy a multi-million-dollar property. It's two different mindsets, right? So you wonder why people are afraid to buy and afraid to do anything. It's because they're minding other people's business and they keeping the people exactly where they are. And what they're doing is they are either holding or they're folding, meaning their loans are coming due, they cannot pay it. And you have investors such as myself and other investors who's been waiting for an opportunity to be able to pick these properties up. So there's a reason why all of these large management companies are buying these single family homes up in the multitudes, right? So they're buying them up because they know when the recession comes, what happens? People lose their job and they got to do what? Rent. Yeah. People that rent, that lost their high-paying jobs, are used to living in high-end places. They're going to want to live in a house that's something comparable, something that they feel like, it's not as bad as what it could be. Mm-hmm. So there's so many different components to this, and we call the real estate clock is summer, winter, fall, and spring, right? And so the summertime is when the hand is on 12 o'clock. That's when everybody is buying, right? Wintertime is that's when everybody's selling at 12 o'clock. At 6 o'clock, it's winter. That's when everybody is selling. That's what the deals is on the market. We're about to hit winter. Winter is coming. So when winter is coming and fall and spring, what have you been doing? You've been preparing for this real estate clock to take place, because history repeats itself time and time and time again.
Yeah. It's better to be prepared. It's better to be prepared. It's a saying like, it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it.
That's right.
Are you telling people, is this also a time to just prepare my finances, like get credit in order, get lines in order, just be ready to buy? Absolutely.
I say this, if you need to go to the bank, you don't need to do nothing.
Say it again.
If you need to go to the bank, you don't need to invest. That make sense?
No.
All right. So there's a difference between me wanting to go to the bank and me needing to go to a bank. The banks can tell when you need them.
Right.
The banks can tell when I want them.
Right.
There's a big difference. Let's not get it twisted. This banker sitting here, I'm doing you a favor. When I take this debt out, I'm about to pay you the money. So let's shop these rates and look at these terms. That's somebody who wants. Somebody who needs is, oh, you're going to get me approved? Oh my goodness, I'm so excited. Thank you so much. Here you go. Sign a paperwork, boom, I'm out. I'm never going to need the bank.
Yeah, that's
I'm
good.
going to put myself in a position where I want to, and or if I don't want to, I don't have to.
I went to the bank the other day. Like, yeah, my man, you're approved for a credit card already. You want to get it now? Like, nah, it's good. Maybe how long it take? 20 minutes.
No.
Maybe next time.
You know what
They like they.
Look, whenever they try to approve me for a credit card, I ask what the limit is. There's only been one company that can get me to get a credit card. It was Amex.
Mm-hmm.
You know why? Because I would ask what the limit is.
And we said none.
And Amex said none.
Yeah.
I don't want a credit card that I already got it in a bank. That's just me. Most people get excited over miles, points, and tickets and discounts. And I've never been a coupon type female. That ain't me. But when you tell me I have an unlimited amount and you just pay me good, you pay me and make me good by your payment cycle, now you got my attention.
Yeah.
Because now I can streamline everything through that card for my business and consolidate everything over there and just make it go easy. It's a strong credit card that's on my credit report. And it's just beneficial at that point in time. But I'm not trying to talk to no banks that's trying to give me $200,000-$300,000 on a credit card. I'm not interested in that.
Let me just do what I'm doing.
Yeah.
What raising money?
Mm-hmm.
I've seen a lot of people do it and they failed.
Mm-hmm.
Whether they got in over their head. How have you been able to successfully raise money for projects, pay people back? Is it a team or like, you know what I mean? Because it's not an easy thing to be able to go raise money. If you go get a deal now for $5 million, you could go raise the money, get it underwritten and do all of that. Also, who taught y'all? No one teaches us how to raise money. I mean, Grant, he go raise $1 billion.
I taught myself.
How did you know to go get money from somebody?
I taught myself in 2014 when President Barack Obama came out with the Jobs Act. And whenever he came out with the Jobs Act, that addressed a lot of the accredited investor situation. I never knew what an accredited investor was, a sophisticated investor. I didn't know they had different levels of investments. But when I was researching it, I read about a regulation called Red Crowd. And I was like, oh, that's very interesting. So I called my best friend Derek up. I said, hey, for the next 3 months, I want us to study all the regs for investors and us putting investor money together. I believe what we have done
This
here.
was 2014.
This was a little bit after 2014, like 2018, because we didn't start it until the opportunity zone took place. So that's when Trump was in the office. So we took that time to start studying and understanding exactly what the law is, what is required, meeting with attorneys and having to get that done. Me and Derek must have read pages and pages and pages of the SEC rules and regs and how to raise money. And so one of the most important things I can tell someone is it's okay to self-educate yourself, because nobody around me was having that conversation and I couldn't call nobody and figure out that. One of the stories here in Atlanta put me on game to say, well, why would people be upset if they invested and they knew the risk, right? And once I started doing more research, I realized that there was different regs and different things that was being done. And so I said, okay, well, I believe that we can do Reg D 506B, where we can have a small amount of unaccredited investors and then the rest can be accredited. And so doing that research, we didn't rush out and go get partners. We just already was doing this on our own before the internet even knew about it. So by the time we was familiar with it, we met with attorneys from New York and all over the place to read to us what's called the PPM. I'll never forget, this is a $20,000 document that the attorneys have to draft for you. And it literally discloses in about 200 pages that you can lose your money in this transaction. That's really what that document is, a disclosure of how you can lose money.
PPM.
Yes, the private placement memorandum, right? So after understanding all of that, paying the attorney to draft our PPMs, because the PPMs is what you have to give to investors. So a lot of the times people think they can go raise money like you used to back in the day. Hey, cuz, can I get $5? Hey, cuz, put $10 here. Hey, cuz, put $30 over there. Nah, you go to jail doing that kind of stuff. Okay, they call that a raise. And so there's, I always say this, I never want the 3 C's behind me, the SCC, the FTC, the ATC, the IRS, any of those 3-letter people, I'm good. You know what I'm saying? I'm straight. So we took time to educate ourselves. We took time to meet with attorneys. And then Derek was just courageous enough to do this with me. We did not know what we were doing. We just was studying and learning and then debriefing with each other. Well, shortly after that, we decided to do our first raise, and it was on a neighborhood that I wanted to develop and put my son's name on a street sign. And we would go to all these banks and they would just deny us and tell us no. And so it became extremely frustrating because we had perfect credit, we had reserves, we had rental properties, we had everything that you can possibly want for a borrower. But again, I needed them. That's what made me say, I don't want to need y'all. I hate sitting in this seat feeling like I need you to say yes.
Yeah.
Right? I like the feeling of knowing whether you say yes or no, I'm good.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so anyway, so the banks are telling us no time and time again. So eventually I just said, well, we're going to raise the money. So I went to all my investors who I worked with for the past 15 years at this time, right? 15, 20 years. And they were like, yeah, T, we just don't think we want to invest on that side of town. I still have my notebook, I kept a tally mark of everybody that told me no. And so I had over 100 no's, but I had a few people, 4 or 5 people that said, you know what, let's do this together. That was our first crowdfund we ever did. And we did it right.
That was 2018.
That was 2018. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we did it right. We built our first house with our own money. Yeah. We all just put all of our own money into the bank and we did it. That was our first crowdfund. And so what we did a few times was we did crowdfunds to make sure that we understood and knew what we were doing. So then we opened it up to the other people and then people started coming in to invest. And so one of the things I do with all my investors is say, hey, don't invest with us if you need your money right back, because this is not get rich overnight. This is get wealthy over time.
Yep.
And also, if you don't understand the investment, if you don't read the documents, can you take it to someone legal and have them read to you the investment you're about to get into? So shout out to E.T. Mom. She was one of my first investors in Madeline Cove. She now owns over 100 doors with me. She's very successful, got in the game very late, 70 plus years old, and now she's just rocking it. You know what I'm saying? And she was one who believed, right? So she was at the ground cutting, the ribbon cutting, and just a few other people you wouldn't expect to believe, right? And so now we're going to reap the rewards off of this. We done put in the work. And because of that, guess what? This property got recognized at the White House by Donald Trump team, which is Scott Turner, who's over HUD right now. So because I have a relationship with Scott Turner, who came to Louisiana to go look at my project, if there's an issue with HUD, you think I can't reach out now?
Easy.
Yeah,
makes sense.
But that's what self-education did.
Powerful. Man, it's just self-education. I be telling people like, yo, self-education will make you a fortune.
Oh, yeah.
Like if you lock in on it, like study it, learn it, give some real attention to it, it could change everything for you.
Absolutely.
That's why I love the mastermind that you have. It just gives people the opportunity to really learn from you and Derek and the team, but you get to really get a hands-on crash course of what to do and what not to do so you don't take a haircut.
That's right.
What to do in this market, what not to do in this market. All of those things matter right now.
Yes.
So.
No, absolutely. And I think that is important for people to know that the only limit you have is the one you tell yourself.
Yeah, that's good.
That's it.
Yeah.
So I never told myself I had a limit. Like there's no such thing. I don't believe the sky is my limit. Like I know there's things way beyond there.
Like the sky's my limit. I'm like, it ain't.
No, it's not. Elon Musk and his friends flying out of there. So I need to know it's more than that, right? So
Bezos and his girl, she just took her girlfriends up, Gail King and them up to the up the space real
like
quick.
It was nothing.
Yeah, we be right back, yo.
That's right. So, I know for a fact a few billionaires who's growing corn right now, out of space. So it's just like, I know that.
Growing corn?
Yeah, growing corn. Yeah, they started growing corn out of space. Yes.
So
yes.
where, I don't
But
know.
they want to be able to see if it can, if the,
sustain.
Yeah. So I was amazed. I couldn't believe it. But it took my mind from that, oh, I'm here on Earth, to, yo, these billionaires are out of Earth. They didn't already conquered everything here. They're working on conquering other planets.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother mindset.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so you got to be around that kind of mindset.
Oh, man, when I was around Grant Cardone, man, it just make you want to run through a wall. You cannot be bull crapping around that dude. He was talking to one of my guys, my man Bill. Bill was like, he said something about, I made 80,000 in a month or something. Like, he was so excited. He jumped up this year, a long time ago. And he said, you bragging or you complaining? He said, oh, crap. So one of my other buddies, Dan Henry, he wrote on the thing, how much you make, Dan, last year? He said, $3 million. He said, man, I remember how I felt when I was broke. I'm like, dang.
I love those kind of conversations.
But it'll make you be like, what you doing over there, Neil? Nothing, brother. Nothing at all. So just, those rooms is powerful, man.
It is.
So,
and when you're not in them in a while, you feel it.
Oh, man. So what I'm letting y'all know is you got an opportunity. Go to the propertychallengelive.com, Terrica Lynn Smith. Like, just go check out everything that is available to you to help you learn. Go to Protege. I got to get that website. I don't know off the top of my head. But go to Female Real Estate Guru on Instagram. The link is in the bio for all of these things that really help you grow and help you get to the next level. Like, so many people sometimes focus on what it costs. And I want you to focus on, what does it cost if you don't do it? Like, what does it cost if you stay exactly where you are now next year? Mm-hmm. And that's not somewhere where you want to be, right? Period. I don't care what you got going on. You should continually want to elevate and become better. So, T, any last words for today's show?
Yes.
As we know you'll be back.
Yes, absolutely. I'll leave you with this, right? Rich people assets is poor people liabilities. And so when you take that into perspective, everything that's taking money out of your pocket, you're putting it into someone else's pocket. And I just believe that this is the year where you need to claim back your ownership, claim back your inheritance, claim back everything that has been stolen from you, because you can do exactly what I'm doing and what Neo is doing if you simply just take the limitations off of your life. So stop being rich people assets. Stop buying Jordans right now. Stop buying Golden Gooses or Louis Vuitton, whatever your thing is. If you don't have no bricks, if you're not buying no income, you need to go ahead and take a break on that, because you're doing nothing but building rich people assets.
Wow, that's good. I watched somebody say the other day, she's at the company holiday party or whatever. And he was like, yeah, I mean, we having this because of you, because you're here. I mean, because of the team that's working. It's just like, man, you just said something that really resonated. Like, you have no business buying a liability if you don't have other ways to generate income.
That's right.
Dang.
You don't.
That's crazy. That's for real, for real.
That's for real, for real.
I heard my man say, and this ain't for everybody, but he's like, yo, you don't need to have designer on your feet if your mama's still working on hers.
That's right.
I said, oh, God.
That's right. I mean, it's true, right? Because if you got that, like, we can't be selfish. Kingdom is not selfish. And it's not about what we wear. It's about the heart posture and the things that we do. And no child of a king should be a slave.
Yeah, I mean, y'all too tough. We gonna end the episode, man. We'll see y'all in the next one, y'all. Peace.